Yay, Starseeds Ignite Part 2. So if you feel you can tune into the first transmission that we were sharing, the connection was cut off, so we're just continuing on with this message for all starseeds on the planet. A lot of starseeds are collectively waking up, and starseeds form a large continuum on the planet. So we're talking about learning how to hold coherence. Simply cross ankles, cross your wrists, clasp your hands together, close your eyes, and deep breathe. If this transmission is inspiring, please share it. That's called gifting. Many ways to calm our nervous systems, our lymphatic systems. The way that we're eating is transforming miraculously. We're not hungry. Our bodies are sustaining on light. And so these starseeds hold the codes to form the councils on the planet, emissaries of true contact. And we were talking about the difference between true contact and anything other than true contact. So true contact happens from within the self, and it is one's connection to one's source, one's connection to the Atma, the supernal. And that comes from going deeper and deeper within ourselves. It's programmed in the genetics. The fifth gene is the final frontier, and it partners with the 35th gene. The 35th gene and the 5th gene make the arc of the infinite, which is the shortcut out of the game. And the 35th gene is to risk it all for love in as many areas of our life as possible. And what we share in this transmission, that love is coherence. So some call it neutrality, some call it the still point, some call it 0 point, some call it peace within. Whatever the names are, all same. It's what all the masters learned, was how to find that place on all levels of the self to hold coherence. And of course, the physical body is the last part because it's the densest, and we have had to clear a lot of energy out of the physicality that connected the amygdala or the reptilian brain to fear chemistry. So we've been in the process of reconnecting all the brain as one brain, both hemispheres, front and back, side to side, so that the body can receive this higher energy. And some on the planet have been transducers of the energy. Many of the indigenous never lost the connection to source or spirit because they didn't take on an egoic blueprint which had the polarized energy and information in it. So for the starseeds on the planet who are beginning to ignite, it is about creating, if for the starseeds who are just awakening, it is about creating a container around ourselves that gives us spaciousness for the gestation and the germination of the new information, the higher consciousness that we all are, to come into the awareness. And that's why on the journey, people begin to remove their consent from the old world or the old creation, because it's nature's way of having us go back within, which is the fifth gene, the final frontier. It has us draw our energy back within, just like what happens to the nymph. The dragonfly body is inside the body of the nymph. And so the energy starts to get drawn back into the center of the nymph, which ignites a higher circuitry of the costume of the nymph, the larva of the dragonfly. So as we draw our energy back in, we remove our consent from old stories, old relations, old creations, and we keep collapsing it all within. That energy that is drawn back within can then activate a higher awareness within the DNA. It turns on new circuitry in the DNA, which creates activations in the physical body. And that's how the dragonfly emerges from the body of the nymph, or the butterfly emerges from the cocoon. And so today's transmission is that many star seeds, and if this love stream is inspiring, please share it. That's called gifting. Many star seeds have now received the activation codes in totality. And those are the codes of nature that are going off within us. And so it's not about looking for that external source to come rescue us, come save us. It's about the going back within, so that the collective field of energy transforms, and vibrationally the old reality dissolves from our awareness and our perception, because it's only held in place through a collective continuum, giving our vibrational agreement to that creation. So it literally dissolves away. It's no different than cymatics, where the frequency changes, the pattern on the plate, the geometry on the plate shifts also. No different than the opera singer who hits a certain note or frequency with their voice and shatters the crystal glass. So that's what's happening within us. And so the invitation and inspiration is for our star seeds on the planet who have this coding within us to make the process easeful and simplified for the entire collective on the planet. And that's who are the emissaries of contact, because that is what is opening beyond the veils, is the great mystic cosmic ocean that is of life, that is coming to avail our consciousness as we graduate, as we evolve as a collective, and aspects of ourselves, higher aspects of ourselves, are supporting us to do this, to come into alignment, to come into unity consciousness, to come into coherence, and to trust it. And so nature shows us the signs through butterflies and dragonflies and many other processes of metamorphosis, that, you know, a tiny little seed can grow a great redwood tree. And it's all held inside of us. And so trust the inspired action. The inspired action of the higher consciousness comes when we still ourselves, when we understand the process of meditation and going within, not seeking technology outside of ourselves to be our savior. It's the inner technology that is within. And yeah, this is really the miracle of Starseeds Awakened. So along the journey for many of we, as we went through the awakening process, we would meet another version of ourselves called Starseeds, and we would recognize each other. And yet we still had a lot of work to do in gravity and time on the planet to ignite the codes of the collective. And that's why we would come together and we would do things together, and then, you know, we would be moved apart. And we had all this work on all these different levels to activate different levels of the planetary body, of the physicality of the human consciousness, to prepare the neural networks for the great shift. And so we have all the resources on this planet, because the resources are within. We have all of the capacity to unify in this atmic supernal collective consciousness, because the connection is from within. And as it says in the genes, in the book of Richard Rudd's Gene Keys, which was a transmission of the genes, of the genetics, when the 60th city ignites in multiple beings, it will be the end of the world as we know it. And Gaia and the cells that make up her consciousness move forth in the blink of an eye into a new creation. The only things we need to transcend are the laws of gravity and time, which are not absolute, but based on perception. And as we do, we ignite beyond the double helix into the triple helix, that trinary consciousness that unifies the opposites within. And then the triple helix, the third strand, is that strand of the Atma that comes in, that greater supernal consciousness that connects us all to the burgeoning ocean of life that is available for our consciousness to enter into that ocean. So many miraculous transformations inside starseeds and awakened ones will begin to notice even more when they walk into a grocery store. More twinkles of the eye, more connections, more people waking up, just instantaneous and simultaneous, just through the presence of this field growing amongst all of us, because this is a process of nature and nature's natural selection, which is why we've been guided to go back to nature, to come into that alignment, because we are part of nature herself. And nature is the orchestrator of this process, not little green men, not little Martians, and all of that such. And simultaneously, the aspects of ourself called the star nations and many other realms of consciousness, inner earth, all these realms of aspects of consciousness that we are not separate from. We are all part of the consciousness that creates this great collective ascension. And We Bliss will probably be doing more transmissions in the next few miracle days with codices beyond gravity, time, and space, and to support us to trust and to keep moving along, and to support our physical bodies, to relax our nervous systems, to receive this much light, because it's opening to the light that is, the DNA is designed to support the movement of light. And that's where all the heat is coming from. The heat is coming from within the planetary body, and it's from within us. And that's what creates the steam, the sweat, the alchemy, to purify the waters of the physical body, to break the bonds of H2O connected to the realms of the Metatronic, so that we can all go into the great ocean beyond the creation that we've known. And we just love, and we support, we sow again to the Starseeds. There we go. We'll complete this transmission. If this love stream is inspiring, please share it. That's called gifting. And again, to the starseeds that may be immersed in 3D, but feeling the shifts, seeing the shifts, knowing the shifts inside of themselves, that are hesitant to listen to the messages from within the self. It's safe. It's right. It's okay to keep making the transitions in alignment with nature herself, which is that place of stillness within us. And to just know that we're all in the right place and we're making the right transition, leaving relationships that aren't right, leaving jobs that aren't right, etc., etc. Just keep trusting, keep aligning with the messages of nature. We so much. If this love stream is inspiring, please share it. That's called gifting. Namaste, Ahui Ho, in Lakesh, for all of our relations, Ahom Matakwayasan, emissaries